and put a certain factory in my village when the village actually where the skills and other things is the opposite village. So, Mr. Speaker, I think this is a very important statement. And if I have my way, Mr. Speaker, I'll even go as far as saying that this statement should be referred to an appropriate committee to further delve into the issues of population and how we apply population issues to the relevance of our national development. Mr. Speaker, I wish that this statement be considered as one of the statements referred to a committee of parliament for an in-depth studies and then a report to the plenary for a decision. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Thank you. Yes. Honorable.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, would like to congratulate the maker of the statements for the brief introduction of the topic. Mr. Speaker, as far as in Ghana, we know that our population is expected to grow to about 50 million in the year 2050, clearly indicating that there's more we need to do as a country to tackle key issues that affect our country. The first issue, Mr. Speaker, I believe has to do with the issue of unemployment. There are so many young people who are getting educated, getting skills, but lacking the ability to get jobs to do, which also put a lot of strain on the adult population, especially dependency. So the adult who is working virtually is taking care of about 4 or 5 more other people who might not be his immediate family members. And I believe that that is one area we need to put emphasis on. What is the curriculum that we need to change to ensure that the young ones that are coming out are learning relevant skills that are applicable to industry and our home and communities? And that is the question we need to be asking. The question we need to be asking the Ministry of Education. What are you going to do differently this time around up to 2050 to make sure that our people are well positioned, that they are mobile enough to go anywhere in the world and be global competitors? What are we telling our Ministry of Education and other agencies? What programs and policies that you are putting in place to make sure that these young ones that are coming up get something to do or can do something for themselves? Mr. Speaker, in this House, I think that consistently we've come to one conclusion, that it is going to be difficult for government to provide all the jobs for our people. And therefore, self-employment, private employment are the new ways that we can use in changing our countries. Mr. Speaker, if you take all the developed countries that we have in the world, it is the private sector that has been able to generate the energies, the employment for their people. Today, people talk about China, people talk about US, people talk about UK. They are all private-led jobs that our people are engaging. And therefore, what new mindset do we have to tell our young ones to start something on their own? Mr. Speaker, recently I've had the opportunity of speaking to one of our own professors in this House. And he's a professor of psychology. And what he told him is that these days, the youth even believe more in faith than doing something with their own hands. And I believe that that is very dangerous, because we cannot continue to have this savior mentality that we are waiting for somebody to come up with something before we do something for ourselves. And with the rapid increase in population, Mr. Speaker, if we are not careful, the demographic dividend that we expect to get from our youthful population will be lost. I mean, if you compare Africa, the numbers, you see that Ghana, if we are not careful, will be too late for us, because ours are not too young. They are virtually getting to their peak in their 35s. So if we are not careful and we lose the next 5 years, it means that a lot of them are not going to get the benefit of the demographic dividend that we are looking for to get in this country. And that is very dangerous. Mr. Speaker, if we take the population growth rate of this country, we are looking around 2.9 per annum, which is quite high. I mean, if you take other countries like China, initially people were complaining that the numbers were too high. By now they've opened up the gate that they need the younger people, because the other ones have become too old. If you go to Japan, it's become another major difficulty. And I believe that we need to strategically rethink our training programs, our mindset change program. In fact, our psychology has to be different, especially the psychology of creating value. We need to start teaching it in all our schools from the basic. In fact, I believe that we have to start from the basic, at least basic Form 1, JHS 1, all the way to secondary school, and then into the university. Because the mistake we've been doing in this country is that we allow our children to go all the way to university when they form their habits already. And therefore, training them and retraining them become a difficulty. But if we start early, at a younger age, knowing the population growth is still going on, Mr. Speaker, I believe that a lot of them will find their own pathways along the line and make sure that this country benefits from the demographic dividend. The last but not least issue I want to raise has to do with the issue of the environment. I believe that the environment, if kept well, will be able to sustain a lot of our young people. One area I believe that we are all looking up to is the area of agro-processing and agriculture. Mr. Speaker, it is high time we start looking at our own mindsets and how to assess them to be able to enter this field. Mr. Speaker, the former commissioner for the AU, Mrs. Zuma, said something striking, and I've kept that in my mind. She said that she wanted to see the cutlass and the hoe as museum pieces. And I believe that he was right. If Africans are finding it difficult to enter the agricultural space, I believe that we should be able to develop new technologies, new autopilot systems, new aquaponics that the young people can safely and easily jump on and create the next billionaires in agriculture and agribusiness space. And I believe that it is doable. Today, in other jurisdictions where they have loneliness, they are creating robots to take care of lonely people. I believe that if we have the fertile lands and we want to be able to get the best out of agriculture, we should also be able to import technology into our society and be able to do well for ourselves. With these few words, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to add my voice to the statement made by Edna.
Yes, leadership. Yes, very well. We then move to another statement, and this time we take that of Honorable Anodompe. Leader, is that the agreement? Yes.
Grateful, Speaker. I rise to come under Order 963(1), and with your leave and the indulgence of the House, to raise a matter I consider of urgent public importance, and further pray you for some consequential directives in this regard. Speaker, I have painstakingly investigated this matter and on my own come to some conclusion. However, I don't hold complete repository of knowledge, and hence I want to say matter and get the buy-in of members and for us to come to some good conclusion on this matter. So last year, as the practice has been, this House passed the 2025 District Assembly's Common Fund formula. And the variables involved, and Speaker, for want of time, I don't have to go through it, are defined in this document. The overarching subject area matters that the fund was meant to deal with. Then subsequently, we got hold of a document that, with your leave, is captioned as approval of guidelines for utilization of the District Assembly's Common Fund for the year 2025, emanating from the Ministry of Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. This is not a regulation. It is a guideline. So I've also taken time to look at the Local Governance Act, Act 936, which gives some powers to the local government minister to issue some regulations. However, the Act do not permit the minister to redirect and also give specific allocation in terms of percentages, how the fund should be distributed. That power, Mr. Speaker, is given to this House by Article 252, exclusively to this House. And hence, there's a question of our powers being eroded away. There's a concern about separation of powers, the executive veering its hand into our authority and powers given to us by this Constitution. And so, Speaker, for instance, just to conclude on this matter, the guidelines gives some 8 areas with percentages, and the total sum up to 100%. Government flagship program, design and construction of 24-hour economy model market, and the percentage of 25% has been allocated or earmarked. Health facility, at least 2 chip compounds, 10%. Educational facilities, 10%. Water, minimum of 10 boreholes, 10%. Environmental sanitation, solid and liquid waste management, 10%. Administrative, including M&E, 5%. School furniture, 10%. Completion of legacy project, 20%. All these sum up to some 100%. However, if you look at allocation in the statement and the formula that was approved, the guideline is a significant departure from the formula that was approved by this House. Speaker, I think we may be setting a very dangerous precedent, and also our constitutional powers eventually may be eroded away. I am amenable to an absolute investigation by a standing committee of this House to come out with the facts and for us to give finality to the same matter. So, Speaker, not to further drag this matter, I appeal to you to consequentially refer this matter to the Standing Committee on Local Government for them to investigate thoroughly and come report and apprise this House on same matter for us to either adopt the report of the committee or otherwise, or take a decision. Speaker, it is to firm up and to confirm our parliamentary jurisprudence and also to give meaning to separation of powers, that what is meant to be done by Parliament cannot and should not, under no circumstance, be compromised for any other arm of government or any other agency of state. This is fundamental, this is important, and I make this point devoid of any paranoid mind, but just to say that we must get to the bottom of this matter as a House and to give finality to this matter once and for all. I thank you, Speaker, for the precious space.
Yes, Honorable Majority Leader.
We are done, please. Mr. Speaker, this matter is easily settled by just reading the Constitution and nothing more. Article 252 of the Constitution says, there shall be a fund to be known as the District Assembly's Common Fund. Subject to the provisions of this Constitution, Parliament shall annually make provision for the allocation of not less than 5% of the total revenues of Ghana to the district assemblies for development, and the amount shall be paid into the district assemblies common fund in quarterly installments. Mr. Speaker, the task of Parliament is simple: to make sure that not less than 5% of the total revenues is allocated to the districts, not less than. So our obligation is to make sure that that amount is set aside for the district assemblies. Then subclause 3 says, the monies accruing to the district assemblies in the common fund shall be distributed among all the district assemblies on the basis of a formula approved by Parliament. So we ensure that 5% is allocated, okay? Then we ensure that there is a formula for distributing the money to the districts, a formula. And that is the formula that we approve. The formula basically takes into consideration certain factors, such as whether you are a metropolitan, you are a district assembly, whether you are a municipality, your population, your land mass, whether you are rich or poor municipality. All those are the formula. Now that is the formula that is brought to us for us to distribute. When that is done by Parliament, we have finished our job. We have finished our job. Now at the district assembly level, what the government and the local government ministry decide with them, ultimately it is their decision as assemblies. But government, central government, gives them guidelines and say, look, when the money comes, spend it this way. When the money comes, spend it this way. Mr. Speaker, I don't see how that, compared to what we saw in this country, where a significant chunk of the money was squandered in Accra. Squandered in Accra. Not too far long ago, when the monies were squandered in Accra and the assemblies got absolutely close to nothing. And this government has come and said 80% of the money must hit the accounts.
Yes, Leader. The maker of the statement is up.
Speaker, I had come under 93.1 with deference to the leader. 93.15 is clear. A member may comment on the statement for a period not exceeding 5 minutes, and the comment shall not provoke debate. The latter comments and observations put out by the leader is offensive of this portion of the rule. And Speaker, I implore you to put the brakes on the leader and let him know that he must speak within the confines of the rules. He cannot be provoking debate to say that the money was squandered in Accra. What is that? And you not provide evidence. If you have evidence of money being squandered in Accra, provide same. Otherwise, withdraw those statements. They are offensive of our rules. He can't do that. You should be leading by example. You are the leader of the house, and you are saying the money was squandered in Accra. Provide evidence of that. Otherwise, withdraw those statements and make your contribution.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I am chair of the Independent Constitutional Bodies Committee. As chair of the Independent Constitutional Bodies Committee, I can assure you that we have records of how monies were spent in the last 8 years. We have all records of how monies were spent in the last 8 years. If you want us to conduct an inquiry into this matter, if you want us to conduct an inquiry into this matter in this house, we will do it, so that the whole country will see how the monies were squandered. Mr. Speaker, it is a known fact. It's a known fact, and that is the basis of the promise of the NDC in its manifesto, that 80% of the money must hit the accounts of the assemblies. And as we have it now, 80% of the money is sent directly to the assemblies, and it is there. The record is there, and they are using it. All that these guidelines seek to do is to make sure that when monies are sent there, the abuse of the money, which we saw at the central level, is not visited on the money at the district level. So we don't want to just give money to the assemblies and then the assemblies will do whatever they want with the monies. No. That's why government has sent guidelines to the district chief executives that you must build schools, you must build markets, you must build cheap compounds, you must build kindergartens, you must drill a certain minimum number of boreholes, and then you must deal with the environment, and a certain amount should be spent on sanitation. These are the core items contained in the guidelines. And indeed, if citizens see that the monies that are sent to the assemblies are indeed used to address these issues, they will continue to support the assemblies. and pay their basic rates and pay their property rates so that more development can come. There's nothing absolutely wrong with these guidelines. He hasn't shown any legal provision that has been violated. In any case, in this house, we were here when even the amounts that are supposed to be given to the assemblies were not given. What did we do? We went to the Supreme Court. We went to the Supreme Court. If you think that giving guidelines to the assemblies to use monies properly, you think it violates the Constitution, there's another avenue. It's not the business of this house to go investigating those matters. We are not a Supreme Court. We are not the ones to interpret the Constitution. So if you think that there's a constitutional violation, go to court. As for the policy, as for the directives, as for the guidelines, I can assure you that the guidelines have been sent. We don't need any investigation. I can confirm that the guidelines have been sent. So if you are asking that we should do investigation to find out whether it is true, I'm saying that it is true that guidelines have been sent to the assemblies, and the details of the guidelines are exactly what you read. So the only issue for determination is whether those guidelines are legal or illegal. That's the only issue for determination. That's the only issue for determination. And you know where to go and seek that determination. You know where to go to. We went there and we got a ruling that showed us how the allocation to the district assemblies should be computed, including oil revenue. We went to court. You are free to go to court. This is a court that is impartial. This is a court that will give, verdict in favor of even the minority. And you will come to this house and celebrate the verdict. So you are free to go to this same court. We have issued guidelines to the assemblies, and we will issue it next year, and we will issue it the year after, and we will monitor to ensure that they comply by those guidelines. Because this is the surest way to ensure that when monies are sent to the assemblies, those monies are indeed used for the welfare of the people. Because there's a practice where you send money to assemblies and a chunk of the money is spent on administrative expenses. DCEs, chief directors, every day they are running to Accra to attend a seminar, and they are drawing on that money. So after a while, at the end of the year, when you do the computation, you find out that the money you send to the assemblies, they've all been consumed on administrative matters, on travels, on conferences, and etc. And that's why this government is saying, no, when we send 80% of the money to you, we expect you to build this number of schools, this number of chief compounds, drill this number of boreholes, and construct a market. These are the standard things that you must do with the money. And the debt, the projects that the previous government commenced and left, a percentage of it must be used to pay for the expenses of those projects. And then you can only spend a small fraction of the money for administrative expenses. 5%, not more than 5%. Now I know assemblies that are getting close to 10 times what they ever got when the MPP was in government. The records are there as well. So, Mr. Speaker, I don't think that there is an issue. We have issued the guidelines. There's no denying that we have not issued guidelines. We have issued guidelines. The guidelines are as indicated by him. He is free to go to court and challenge the guidelines. As for this house, I don't think this house should waste its time setting up a committee to inquire and investigate any matter. Nobody denied anything.
Yes.
Speaker, it's quite unfortunate.
Honorable members, I think the indication is not for me to take comment, but to end it so that we can do government business. Is that the indication, Majority Leader?
Speaker, I thought you had signaled that you give me the opportunity to speak.
No. So I'll give you the opportunity to speak. Yes. Just indication
so
on this.
So he just spoke. We have to respond to him.
No.
I have to respond to a lot of the things he said.
I am asking the number of people who will comment on the statement. That is the indication I'm seeking.
Speaker, we had agreed that 2 on each side.
Yes. So when I have members, I'm confirming that is that the indication. This is not to prevent you from speaking.
Mr. Speaker, we agreed on 1-1. The earlier one, how do we? Yeah. Ramadan. So, Mr. Speaker, the agreement was 1-1, so that we can move to the next item. Now, 1-1 means that when you make the statement and I speak, that's the end of the matter. That's 1-1. Because you have made a statement, I have responded. That's 1-1.
But leader, it appears he is offended by the use of the word squandered money.
Mr. Speaker, to squander money is to spend the money. Okay, so 2-2. Mr. Speaker, 2-2. We are ready to go. 2-2. We are ready to go. 2-2.
Very well.
2-2.
Very well. So you have made your statement. They say it should be 2-2. So additional 1-1 more.
Well, Speaker, let it be known that I don't have any personal interest in this matter. And for the leader to say that we have issued a statement. In the first place, you didn't issue the statement. It was the local government, for the records. You see. Speaker, for the records, when you say we have issued a statement, are you part of the executive? You are not. I have not invited you. Sit down. Speaker, he's not the one who issued the guidelines.
You see, Honorable Chief Whip, if you are inviting him, he will get up.
Speaker, allow me to speak.
You asked him a question.
It's a rhetorical question. He does this. He is a word corporate. Speaker, so, colleagues, with the greatest respect to this House, we need to be concerned about this matter. This is a matter that is not supposed to receive partisan approach at all. And I do not have any special interest in this matter. I am raising this matter purely on the grounds of patriotism. Now, when the leader says, we have issued the guideline, you did not. This thing is not directed at you. Why are you sweating? You are not the local government minister. The guideline was issued by the Minister for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. For the records, it was issued by the Minister for Local.
Well, majority leader is up on point of order.
You said I should finish. I should wait for him to finish.
Maybe I won't give you the opportunity to come, just like how I gave you the opportunity.
When he was speaking, I had a lot of points of orders, but you asked me to wait. Let him also wait. We are all subjected to the same rules. No. Wait. Sit down and wait. Sit down and wait. Speaker, I'm saying these guidelines were issued not by the majority leader. The guidelines were issued by the minister responsible for local government, chieftaincy and religious affairs. So stop shielding the minister or taking responsibility for something that you did not do. You form part of an arm of government, the legislature. And I'm saying that to the extent that a guideline is being issued by a minister to undermine a formula that has been passed by this House, and you don't see anything wrong with it, I'm sorry. You don't see anything wrong with it. Now, what I'm simply saying, I'm not calling for the formation of any committee. We already have a standing committee, a committee on local government. I am saying that to the extent that the guideline is a departure from the formula we passed, it constitutes an illegality. It is not right. It is not right. And Speaker, we must go into this, and the House must take a decision. You can use your numbers. You can use your numbers to pass whatever you want to pass. But to the extent that the thing is wrong, we must investigate into it.
But now, you want the House to take a decision on the statement?
Because when I gave you prior notification that I have said that.
No, you said the House should take a decision.
Yes.
But there is a method by which the House takes decision.
Speaker, that is also known. And Speaker, you can also give consequential directives.
Consequential directives is different from the House taking a decision.
My preamble to the statement had been, amongst other things, to call for a consequential directive from you. And Speaker, that was the engagement I had with you. If it is your pleasure that it should be done, fine. If it is not your pleasure, let the House subject it to. We can politicize this statement, that's fine. But it will come back to haunt us. It will come back to haunt us. But for him to say that in the previous administration, monies were being squandered in Accra, we have asked you to provide further and better particulars. And you have failed to do that. You are the majority leader, you're supposed to carry this House along. So if you don't have evidence, don't allege. And Speaker, I invite you to, for that portion of his statement, should be expunged. Monies were squandered in Accra, and you say that and just go away. It should be expunged. It cannot be formed part of our records. That cannot be part of our records. If he has evidence, let him provide same. You can support the minister, the regulation, that's fine. But this thing will come back to haunt this House. Our powers as an independent arm of government is being eroded, and you don't see anything wrong with that. I'm surprised. I'm totally surprised. Speaker, thank you.
Agreement that we should take 1-1, I will then give the floor. But
Mr. Speaker, that was the second contribution. Because when you raised the issue, he said yes, he will speak. He said that he will speak. He said he will speak. When you ask who was the second person to speak, he said he will speak. So that is the second time.
Honourable members, frankly speaking, I do not see this to generate any debate. So let us all be guided as such in the language that we use, and then we'll move forward. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I think that we are members of Parliament sent by our people as delegates or representatives. And so our interest is to speak on behalf of our constituents. And I think that the statement raised by the Minority Chief Whip is a very serious statement. We should look at it from that angle. Mr. Speaker, this House has a convention where we pass a formula. The Common Fund Administrator, accompanied by the Minister, will come to this House, present his formula to us, and give us item by item, project by project, what exactly the money will be used for. We pass it, and in fact, we get the resources to monitor exactly what has been presented to us on behalf of the people, to be sure that what the government, through the administrator and the minister, have said is a correct thing. But Mr. Speaker, if after all this, we now have a situation where an administrative fiat by the minister outside what Parliament itself has agreed and is aware of and is known to. They approve it and divert attention completely from what Parliament has said. I think that is a very serious matter. It has nothing to do with whether they have, we all know, and we have acknowledged that it's a good thing they have done to send the resources to the district. That is not in contention. And we all think that it's a good thing, and we have said it. Last year we said it, this year we have said it. In fact, during the debate of the formula, we all acknowledged it. So it is not something new to anybody that you are sending the resources down. The previous government, for which I served as minister, decided to cap common fund and get fund and use some of the resources to do things in Accra, buying drip equipment that my good friend, the road minister, is now using, building courts that the judiciary for the first time have had over 100 courts and different other things. But that is okay. That is the decision by the government then. I think that what he has said, that we have a formula that is known to this House, that we have also gone to inform our constituents that this amount of money will be used for this and up to 100%. which of them are we now going to monitor? Are we going to monitor what the new administrative expenditure or what Parliament has passed? I believe that the minister and the administrator would have helped themselves if they had included this administrative fiat into the formula. I think the House should not, this is the first time, the House should not allow anybody.
Honorable Natty Wood, you say this is the first time. I entered this House when you were a leader, and every year, guideline on utilization of common fund is issued. This is the House of Record.
Mr. Speaker, guidelines are issued not in deviation to what the House itself has passed. That's the difference. If you read exactly what has been ordered, what has been said, it's completely different from what this House has passed. That's the difference. Mr. Speaker, the guidelines has always been very simple. Stick exactly to what the House has passed and the formula. That's exactly what it is. If the minister had decided to do that, I don't have a problem, and that has always been the case.
Honourable members, I'm informed that they are bringing materials towards tomorrow's honor. So you may please conclude.
So, Mr. Speaker, the point I'm just making is that we should not belittle the point that the Chief Whip has made. It's a very serious point, and it boils down to exactly our core business. Because, Mr. Speaker, if something can be passed in this House, and as a minister, I go outside and do a different thing, and the House takes no exception to it, the House is okay with it, then, Mr. Speaker, what's the use of bringing the formula here? Why should we bring the formula? Why should we pass the formula? So,
Mr. Speaker, I urge colleagues, if you have your phones, Google the current Local Governance Act 2016, Act 936, an act passed by this Parliament, Section 173. I'm waiting for the minority chief whip. Now, I want minority chief whip to. Yes, Section 173. Power of minister to give financial instructions. And it says, the minister may issue written instructions for the improved control and efficient management of the finances of district assemblies after consultation with the minister responsible for finance. This was the instructions. Listen carefully. The instructions may be issued either generally. The instructions may be issued either generally or with respect to particular district assembly, and shall be complied with by district assemblies generally or the district assembly concerned. Yes. So this law that you passed in this house, gives the Minister for Local Government the power to issue directives on how to make efficient use of monies that are sent to them. Well, the minister has not changed anything. Listen carefully. The minister has not changed anything. The formula, look, no, pay attention. The formula approved by this house, had two components. 80% of the money going to the assemblies. Oh. Yes, the common fund is one of the finances. Common fund is not one of the finances of the assembly. Which other finance does the assembly have? Which other funds does the assembly have, which is more than the common fund?
Honourable members, please, can we bring a closure to this issue? Conclude.
Mr. Speaker, the district assembly fund is not just common fund alone. In fact, there is the common fund, there is IGF, there are several funds. They are bonds. They are bonds. They are bonds. Majority leader, you are the leader of the house. I beg you. You are the leader of the house. I beg you. There are the funds of the assembly is not limited to common funds only. In fact, common fund is just one of them. In fact, you can raise bonds as an assembly. We have IGF, we have common fund. For common fund, Mr. Speaker, the formula of common fund expenditure is passed in this house. The others are not. So there is a need for the minister, in consultation with the finance minister, to give guidelines as to how IGF can be spent, as to how bonds can be spent. Otherwise, the assemblies will just spend it anyhow. That is what they are talking about. But for common fund, it is Parliament. It is Parliament that directs the assemblies as to how to spend. That authority is given by Parliament.
Honourable member, kindly conclude. Kindly conclude.
So, Mr. Speaker, all I'm saying is that the issue raised by the member is a serious thing, that the powers of Parliament is being eroded by a new directive that is at variance with what we pass in this house. What do? Are we supposed to let it pass? Are we supposed to set a precedence, or we should pretend that we didn't do it? We didn't see anything. We don't see anything wrong with it. That's the cause of my matter.
Very
Thank you,
well.
Mr. Speaker.
I will proceed to give the floor to Honourable Kwame Agboja.
Mr. Speaker, I think the point raised by our colleague is worth listening to when he says that this Assembly's common fund utilization should be looked at. Mr. Speaker, the leader has already indicated what we did here was legitimate and no one is taking away our powers. We have distributed the percentage of tax revenue that needed to go to the common fund administration. What we have done, which everybody, including my good friend, the minority chief, we can attest to that, your assembly is much more efficient today than ever before. That is on record. Mr. Speaker, what are we supposed to be doing? Today we are saying that we should spend 25% on, 25% on government flagship project. Mr. Speaker, under, 2023, 2024, 2025, the same DC Assembly Common Fund deliberately used part of the money to build astroturf in some constituencies. Yes. Of course, none was built in my constituency. The DC Assembly, without any consultation, decided to build something in Adaklu because the Common Fund Administrator decided that is what should be built in Adaklu. Once we had, stalled school projects, stalled healthcare projects. So we are saying that, to be fair, spend 25%, only 25% to build a market. Which assembly is saying that they don't need a market? They say, let's spend 10% on health. Let's spend 10% on education all the way down, Mr. Speaker. And even spend an amount to continue legacy projects. Mr. Speaker, the fact is that my colleague was talking about which assembly was wasting money. Mr. Speaker, it is on record that some businesses in this country were built on the fact that whenever there's tax revenue collected, they see the pocket of the government as their pocket. Mr. Speaker, when I became an MP, there was this idea of fumigation and cleaning of all assemblies. Mr. Speaker, as of that time, Adaklu, the capital of Adaklu, which is Adaklu Waya, didn't even have any third road. But there was a deduction from Adaklu Common Fund towards cleaning the street and all those things. Where was the street? Mr. Speaker, I took up that issue, confronted that business. They admitted that they deducted money, they didn't do the work. And then they told us that we should come to their yard and take some equipment equivalent to then 200,000. And so today, Mr. Speaker, if you go to Adaklu Assembly, the water tanker there was a compensation for money deducted when the work was not being done. So when he said that we were squandering the money, I have evidence that that is the way they were squandering the money. So, Mr. Speaker, I agree that if this is what we want to do, then the next formula, maybe these items can be presented to the committee of the whole to be approved. That one does nothing. But to say that what we have done now made the assemblies worse off, no one here, not on this side, will say that. Exactly. That is, of course. Just listen to me. Listen to me. The fact that you and I, the fact that you and I can say that our assembly, look, in the past, Mr. Speaker, oh, let me listen. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker,
please conclude.
Let me conclude. Mr. Speaker, would you have preferred when assemblies appear at the Public Account Committee and say that they've used money for disability for conferences? Is that what you would have preferred? Exactly. So once you agree that the formula is better, I can only say that, Mr. Speaker, it is fair to say that the next formula, we should just bring it as part of the commutation. I don't see anything wrong with it, Mr. Speaker. With this, Mr. Speaker, today, for the first time, 6 March is coming. Adakudisi Assembly is not asking me that I should pay for 6 March. Since I became an MP, every year when the 6 March, I will have to pay to buy water for everybody coming there. Because the Assembly Common Fund was in the pocket of only few businesses. Today, the stage has been set. The public purse of this Assembly Common Fund is no longer any private man's pocket. The money should be spent down there in Adaklu.
And in conclusion,
there's money sitting in Adaklu. This Assembly Common Fund account at NIB at home and Common Fund.
In conclusion,
in fact, Common Fund is now common to every assembly. That is what we are talking about. Thank you very much.
Yes, honourable members, I think by an agreement we have done the 2-2. I intend not to take more. So let's bring closure to the debate. Honourable members, I intend not to also direct that a committee be formed to investigate any matter. Very soon, the minister, the Common Fund administrator, and the team will come before the House for approval of another formula. If you have any inconsistency in the administration of the previous formula, I believe that is the right point for us to pick it up with them so that they provide a solution as a condition for approving the current formula. So let's all together hold it when they appear before us for the approval of the 2026 formula. Then we can raise the necessary issues at the committee of the whole. It's for a good reason that matters relating to the formula are discussed at the committee of the whole. So, honourable members, statement time is ended. Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I think we can take the motion number 10 and then we can take 11 thereafter. So motion number 10.
Yes, minority. The application is motion number 10.
Maybe the leader has not been carried along, but I know consultation is ongoing. The chair and the ranking are engaged in a consultation. Until they conclude that consultation, we are unable to accede to that call. So
I think they are back.
Yes, because they are back, but they have not communicated. Yeah, coming back doesn't mean yes. So let my ranking communicate to me, then I can communicate same. Yes. Oh yes. Speaker, meanwhile, there are other businesses that are lying.
Honorable Minority Chief Whip. You see, certain things are informal. Certain things are very informal. So placing those things on record, Honorable Minority Chief Whip, I am worried.
Speaker, apologies if it didn't go down well. It's apologies. However, we will relate to the ranking member and do the needful as we should. But leader, yeah, but there are other businesses. No,
we can't do two.
Wait. We will do all those business, but what about the other businesses that are lying? The chief whip is in the house. Your business is there. House committee
Honorable
report
Minority
is there.
Leader, I don't see you being opposed to the current motion.
I am not opposed.
Motion numbered 10. Chairman of the committee.
Mr. Chairman, I rise to move that motion number 10 on today's order paper be moved now. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Honourable members, motion move any seconder.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion.
Honourable members, motion move and seconded. It is for the consideration of the House. This being a procedural motion, I'll put a question. As many as are in favour of the motion say aye. Those against say no. Honourable members, the ayes have it. The motion is accordingly adopted. Then consequential motion numbered 11. Chairman of the committee.
Mr. Speaker, I move that motion number 11 on today's order paper be moved now. Mr. Speaker, I so move, but in doing so, I would like to present the committee's report. Mr. Speaker, I will highlight aspects of the report and request the Housing Department to capture the entire report as having been read. Mr. Speaker, yesterday the Minister for Finance laid before this House the accelerated National Reserve Accumulation Policy 2026 to 2028. Mr. Speaker, the objective for this policy is to aggressively accumulate significant resources by leveraging the increasing prices of gold to build international reserves to the tune of 15 months of import cover. Mr. Speaker, we met with the Ministry of Finance, the Gold Board, and the Bank of Ghana to assist us understand the policy rationale of government. Mr. Speaker, we were made aware that a review of Ghana's reserve trajectory reveals a recurring pattern of episodic accumulation followed by drawdowns, periods of reserve accumulation typically associated with opportunistic external borrowing, such as Eurobonds, as well as seasonal cocoa export inflows. These temporarily strengthen the external policy position and increase import cover. Mr. Speaker, from a reserve position of 5.4 months of import cover in April 2021, following a $3 billion Eurobond issuance, reserves subsequently declined sharply, reaching a low of about 2.3 months of import cover by September 2023. Mr. Speaker, the depletion rates reflected significant pressures on Ghana's external buffers.
Has captured all the reports, so take us to the conclusion.
Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, the committee reviewed and engaged the authorities and came to the conclusion that this policy is very good for the people of Ghana and that it gives us the capacity to build enough reserves in very good times so that we can meet the shocks that emanate from low reserves. Mr. Speaker, we therefore recommend to this House to approve this report by consensus. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Honourable members, motion move. Report presented. Any seconder?
Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion.
Honourable members, yes.
Mr.
If you want to contribute, do so.
Okay, Mr. Speaker. Okay.
Yes,
Speaker.
Yes.
We agree that we'll take 2-2 and the leadership will conclude. Speaker, the agreement is that we'll take 2-2 and the leadership will conclude. So that makes it 3-3. Mr. Speaker.
Yes, let me hear you.
Mr. Speaker, we had an engagement with the clerk, coupled with the fact that we are, tomorrow is the State of the Nation and they need to prepare the chamber. So we agreed to do 3-3 and leadership. I ran that with the
So how many minutes is each
3-3
leader
and leadership.
speaking? How many minutes is each member speaking? Honourable members, I need to be guided.
Speaker, 2-2, leadership will conclude. Please.
Mr. Speaker, that's not the agreement. The agreement, I have run it with the majority leader. And Chief Whip, there have been a lot of workings before you came in. So, with respect, please, we agree, and we've already presented our lift to the
So now
Speaker.
guide me about...
So, Speaker, is 3-3 and leadership. So,
how many minutes? Is it 5 minutes?
yes, yes.
So I
Speaker.
will urge the timekeepers, 5 minutes. Yes, beginning with the honourable member who is seconding the motion. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to add my voice to the report of the Joint Committee of Finance and Economy and Development. I will therefore entreat all and sundry, all members here, to adopt this report and approve this policy, that is Ghana Accelerated National Reserve Accumulation Policy 2026 to 2028. Mr. Speaker, this policy has come at the right time, very right time, where the other two drivers of our economy is not doing well in the world market. I'm talking about our oil and our golden bean, that is the cocoa. In fact, Mr. Speaker, the prices of these two commodities are volatile and undetermined. And therefore, this policy will save the situation. Mr. Speaker, when we implement this all-important policy, our international foreign reserves within 2026 will rise to 8.6 months of import cover. That's a 2026. Mr. Speaker, it will exceed 11.8 months of import cover of goods and services by 2027. And the most important aspect of it, that we should all be happy, is that by the year 2028, the import cover will reach 15 months of import cover. 15 months of import cover, which is 1 year, 3 months. Mr. Speaker, if you have economy like this, that international gross national reserves is about 15 months of import cover of goods and services, then you are good to go. You are good to go. Mr. Speaker, this gold for reserve that we want to intensify gave us 13.83 billion US dollars as our reserves in 2025. It covers 5.7 months of import cover. Mr. Speaker, this has improved the investor confidence in the country. Exchange rate stability, reduced the reliance of external borrowing. Mr. Speaker, this is a good policy we should all agree to adopt and approve. Mr. Speaker, the policy is structured to trace all gold. Yes. Trace all gold that we bought in the country. Trace all gold. Yes, traceability of gold will be done within
Honourable member, you have 1 minute more.
Mr. Speaker, by so doing, I will employ all members, especially from our side, from the other side. You are not here, from the minority side. to adopt this report and approve the policy so that we can all grow our economy of Ghana to a certain height in this country. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Honourable members, it's now the turn of Honourable Kojo Opon-Nkrumah.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity to contribute to the report that has been laid. I want to start off by quoting a statement that was made by the former Vice President of the Republic, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, at the launch of the NPP's manifesto in 2024. Mr. Speaker, he says that, and this is when he was giving an update on the performance of the Gold for Reserves and Gold for Forex program. He says, I'm happy to say that the two policies that helped rescue the economy from the catastrophe in the recent crisis were the Bank of Ghana's domestic gold for the domestic gold purchase program and the gold for oil program. The pilot has worked for a number of companies, some of which wanted to take Forex out of the jurisdiction. We have thus found a solution to profit repatriation without destabilizing our local currency. He goes on to say that, Mr. Speaker, my government will completely institutionalize what I call the Gold for Forex program, even as we intensify efforts to transform the structure of the Ghanaian economy. Simply put, the domestic gold purchase program is a policy which allows the Bank of Ghana to boost its foreign exchange reserves by buying locally produced gold with cedis. And he goes on to talk about the benefits, including the fact that gold will now become the anchor of the Ghanaian currency. Mr. Speaker, earlier today when we met the Finance Ministry, the Bank of Ghana and the Gold Board, we put a question to the governor who was represented by the second deputy governor. Is the policy to buy gold to shore up our reserves, be it in bullion or in forex, new? And her answer was categorical. She said, no. Mr. Speaker, it is a matter of public record that in 2021, the MPP administration came up with the domestic gold purchase program, which seeks to ramp up our reserves by using cedi to buy gold and shore up our bullion reserves, or by using cedi to buy gold, trade it for forex, and add it to our forex reserves. Mr. Speaker, if therefore a couple of years down the line, our colleagues on the NDC side come to power and they find this policy useful, they don't need to attempt to rebrand it and give it a new name as a Ghana Accelerated National Reserve Accumulation Policy. They don't need to do that. What they need to do is to be candid to the Republic of Ghana and say, we inherited a working program. And probably what we want to do is to build on it. You need candor in economic policy management. Don't try to rebrand it, give it a new name, polish it with some colors, and now create the impression that it is something new that you are thinking about. Mr. Speaker, we asked the government side today what the two pillars of this gold component are. And they told us that they will be using cedi to buy gold to add to the bullion, and using cedi to buy ASM gold, trade it for forex, and add to forex. Mr. Speaker, that is gold for reserves and gold for forex. You can turn it, you can bake it, you can cook it. It is still the same thing. So, Mr. Speaker, we on this side will support this policy because what they have done is to continue what was introduced by Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia. Mr. Speaker, we encourage them that today's voter is sophisticated and understands what's going on. When you introduced the commitment controls, we have commended you that it is actually a good policy. You don't need to go on with this thing where every time settings. Admit it that this is a program you inherited and you are continuing. Mr. Speaker, the second point I want to make is that what this government has now announced as a policy demonstrates the confusion in their circles. A few weeks ago, this government told us that they were of the view that we had so much gold concentration in our reserves, and so they have sold 50% of our gold reserves and converted it into US dollar-based assets. Mr. Speaker, there are questions about that transaction already, the timing, the scope, and the window with which it was done. And already we have filed motions to have that transaction and then the losses on the gold purchase program properly investigated, without prejudice to whatever the outcomes will be. They have now come back to this house that they are asking for policy approval to go and, among other things, buy more gold to shore up our reserves. Why would you sell 50% of our gold reserves only to turn around a few weeks later that you want policy approval to go and buy more gold? And by the way, at the time they sold the gold, prices were around $4,000. By now, it's somewhere around $5,200. So already we have lost about $1,000 an ounce on the quantum they sold.
Remember, your time is up. I will proceed to give the floor to Honorable Richard Achampong.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity to contribute to the report before us. My good friend Honorable Kojo Oponkroma used to call on government to submit policy document before this house. Today, the document is presented before this house and he has a cause to complain. So, Honorable Kojo Oponkroma, you can't choose and pick. Mr. Speaker, within these few years or months, Gold Bond has raked in about $10 billion. They used to borrow Eurobond at the rate of average 6%. Assuming we took a loan of $10 billion, we would have paid $600 million as an interest. And there's no interest on it. This is a forward-looking government. It is projected that by the end of 2028, gold price will soar up. So what do? Let's take advantage now. So that we'll bring the policy document, the House will approve of it, and even if they want to liquidate it, they have to go through cabinet and come to Parliament for approval. They can't sit in the office and take any decision. You did not do that. And they yet they started this program. What was the end result? What was the level of the appreciation or the depreciation of the cedi? You implemented all these policies, but the end game was zero. The end game was zero. You let inflation 23.8%. Today is 3.8%. The cedi has appreciated more than 40%. Instead of patting up at the back, you are here trying to run down the program. And Mr. Speaker, it's not only the gold. If you check the document presented to her by the minister talked about gas to power program, oil development program, cocoa reforms initiatives. All these things are going to put together to make sure we see a stability. When we were going for the elections, dollar was exchanged at 17 Ghana cedis. 17. It came down to 16. At the time, if you needed $10,000 or $1,000, you need 17,000 Ghana cedis. Today you will need 11,000 Ghana cedis. 6,000 difference. This is forward-looking government. So, Mr. Speaker, it's not about being in opposition and you have to criticize everything that the government is doing. Let's give credit when it is due. Tell us that you could not do it. But thank God there's a new government in place which is looking forward, which is putting in place measures that will yield positive results. Today, if you go to the pump, they don't ask you if you're an NDC or MPP card bearer. When you are buying fuel, look at it. Prices of goods and services have dropped. This is what we are talking about. This is the resetting agenda we promise the good people of this country. So please, if you come fight them, you join them. Come and join us. And don't think of winning the next election so that you poo-poo every program that we present to you. MDC has come to stay. And you remain in opposition with this attitude for a longer period of time. So, Mr. Speaker, this is very positive information given to us. When we met at the committee, all of them praised the minister that it is about time we support this administration to succeed. If MDC succeeds, Ghana will succeed. And MPP people will benefit. So, Kojo Oponkroma, Honorable, you started it, you couldn't achieve anything. Governance is continuing. I do agree with you. But this is the time we are yielding a positive result. We are not using money to dig holes in the name of cathedral. No, we are putting the money where our mouth is. So please, Mr. Speaker, the traceability thing Honorable Afo talk about, they are saying because of the growth board that we put in place, galamsey activities will increase. Whether we have growth board or not, people will still do galamsey. So let's find a lasting solution to deal with the galamsey menace. That's another matter. So growth board is giving us the positive result. Let's all embrace it, support the finance minister, so by the end of the day, Ghana will develop any shock, we can sustain it. We can't run to IMF every time to borrow money and pay interest. Mr. Speaker, I still have 15 seconds. So, Mr. Speaker, this is very welcoming news. Let's all embrace it. And I'll conclude by saying,
Honorable members, I'll proceed to give the floor to Dr. Amin. Honorable members, I don't want any confusion. This is the list you've given me, and I'm going by the list.
I give you information.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the discussion on the report. Mr. Speaker, as my colleague Honorable Oponkruma said earlier, we are not against any policy to support reserve accumulation, because we know that it will help build the resilience of the economy. Yes. And so for that matter, we support this policy, except that as a responsible opposition, we need to bring out areas we think are flawed so that the minister can address those areas to improve on this policy and its implementation. First of all, as far as reserves are concerned, this is not the first time we have built reserves beyond the traditional benchmark of 3 months of import cover. The traditional benchmark of 3 months of import cover was exceeded by us in 2024. In fact, we achieved 4 months of import cover. Yes. 4 months of import cover, amounting to $9.6 billion United States dollars. And so, if they are able to go beyond that, that is an improvement we must acknowledge. But to say that this is the first time you are going beyond the traditional 3-month benchmark, it is not true, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, having said this, the report indicates that under this program, the government will target to buy 127 tons of gold annually from small-scale miners. That is worrying for me, because even at lower volumes, they couldn't achieve their target from traceable gold. They had to resort to buying gold from galamsey operators. And this, His Excellency the President Mahama, alluded to this. And so with the level of volumes they are talking about, 127 tons annually from small-scale miners, I am afraid our environment is in danger. The lives of Ghanaians are in danger, because this government, as they have done before last year, will resort to buying these volumes of gold from galamsey operators, and that is not good for our country. Mr. Speaker, the report also says that gold reserve-based accumulation can occur without distortions to the domestic market, but that cannot be true, because gold reserve accumulation or reserve accumulation in general is a balance sheet operation. And therefore, because of the volumes they are talking about, we are going to see large injection of cedis into the market. But to maintain the levels of inflation we have today, the Bank of Ghana will have to go back using sterilization to withdraw or mop up this liquidity again. This certainly will lead to distortion. Apart from this, sterilization has a cost. And with the level of volumes we are talking about, the cost of sterilization is going to be very high. And that will lead to losses at the Bank of Ghana. If you are bringing a policy to accumulate reserve
we should have a policy that will not lead to losses at the Bank of Ghana, because when you do that, it distorts the balance sheet. And this is why I do not agree with them when they say that you can do gold-based reserve accumulation without distorting the domestic market. Mr. Speaker, in this report, they also sought to do comparison between the money that was borrowed to accumulate reserve between 2017 and 2024, which they said was done at a cost of $3.8 billion. Mr. Speaker, this was interest cost. But today, they are seeking to compare that with the losses that the gold board recorded when they were selling gold. The losses that occurred at the gold board as a result of their transaction was 214 million United States dollars. Interest costs cannot be compared with losses. The reality is that the 214 million US dollars resulting from the $10 billion gold board brought were losses, and the IMF alluded to this. And so you cannot compare that with interest cost from the borrowing which was done to build reserve under our government. And so, Mr. Speaker, the government must be truthful and they must be transparent, and they must not seek to deceive the people of Ghana using numbers. The contexts are different. One is interest cost, the other is losses. Mr. Speaker, the minister, through this policy, is also...
Honourable Member, your time is up. I now give the floor to Atta Issa.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Let me begin by making this correction that Gold Board did not make any loss in 2025. Let me thank the Minister of Finance for this bold policy initiative. They did not make any loss for 2025. Mr. Speaker, I hope my time will be... Okay. So, Mr. Speaker...
The timekeepers, please stop his time. Please stop his time. You know we are not taking any point of order. We want to have an interrupted debate. So, please, let the debate flow. On either side, I was not taking point of order. So, let his time resume. Honourable Member, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This policy is a shift from a debt finance reserve accumulation that we are used to in the past to a commodity anchor reserve accumulation through the gold board. The objective, like it is already stated in the report, is to ensure that in the next 3 years we achieve 15 months of import cover by 2028. The idea of using the buffer building strategy is aimed at exchange rate stability, inflation control, debt sustainability, and external shock resilience. For a commodity-dependent nation like Ghana, I think this is strategically significant for us. There is nothing wrong with associating yourself with good policies. So let's not blame the MPP if they want to gain some of the credit that we are having. But it must be backed by data and facts. Let's look at the past regimes, your effort in terms of reserve accumulation. And Mr. Speaker, the external borrowings through Eurobonds alone, between 2018 to 2021, Ghana issued $11.025 billion in Eurobond market at 7.6 to 9.6% interest. This resulted in high interest payments, increased external debt, vulnerable to global financing lightening, eventual debt distress, and reserve were accumulated in terms of debt, increased debt. Number two, the short-term FX instruments that they use in terms of increasing the reserve, in 2022 to 2024, they use swaps, sales and buybacks, short-term facilities, and raised 5.65 billion accumulated cost. In interest alone, they paid 1.16 billion United States dollars in interest. This created a rollover risk, hidden quasi-fiscal costs, and artificial reserve deals. In fact, that's what you always talk about when you say the gold board is artificial. This is what you did through the swaps. by costing this country $5.6 billion United States dollars in terms of short-term debt. Mr. Speaker, on commercial borrowing as a result of an artificial way of making sure that we build our reserves, MPP borrowed money from JP Morgan Chase, Standard Chartered, Citibank, and they borrowed an amount of $2 billion became a cost to this country. In an attempt to build reserve, they incurred $2 billion as interest cost to this country. Mr. Speaker, in portfolio inflows, in 2017, the famous Franklin Templeton $2.25 billion United States dollars, we ended up by paying 7.3 billion Ghana cedis in interest. So any attempt you people made in terms of reserve accumulation, you incurred costs to the Ghanaian public. Mr. Speaker, why does this one differ from the others? First of all, we are moving from the debt financing to commodity financing, which is now the global trend. Go to Russia, Australia, and many other countries are moving from debt financing instrument to commodity financing instrument. And I hear them saying that we depleted 50% of the gold reserves in our banks, with Bank of Ghana. You don't keep natural resources forever. You do spotting and hedging properly. If imagine that we had kept the gold at $5,000 and today it's sold at $500, what would be the value of the solid gold? So we are moving from the debt finance to asset-based accumulation to we are also reducing the interest burden that these people bedevil this nation with. Borrowing or building reserves with an annual rate of 7 to 9% external borrowing cost. Speaker, we are successful with this our reserve accumulation policy because of the following. Because of the strong macroeconomic stability that we are gaining. If you look at the reserves, it rose from about 9.11 billion to 13.85 billion United States dollars. CD appreciated by 40.7%. That guarantees stability. We also see inflation follow from 23.8% to 5, in fact, currently 3.8%. And then debt fell from about 61.8% to about 45%. So what exactly are you saying that it is your policy? In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, gold purchases or domestic gold purchase program is not an MPP policy. In fact, since central bank was
Honorable member, your time is up. That is up. It's now the turn of Honorable Gideon Bako.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to support this motion. Mr. Speaker, it is important we are talking about reserve accumulation through commodities, i.e. gold, at this time, because as we all understand, history has taught us that from President Kufuor's time, where Ghana made its first appearance in the Eurobond markets, all successive governments, from Professor Mills to President Mahama to Nana Akufo-Addo, have gone to the Eurobond market. So until we got the knowledge and understanding to use gold to back our currency and our reserves through the instrumentality of the former Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, previous government had resorted to the Eurobond market to accumulate reserves. Mr. Speaker, it is important to stress that the lowest rate of interest for entering the Eurobond market by Ghana was realized during the period of the previous government, and during the period of the NDC government, we had higher rates of interest. So if anybody has a cause to worry as to how much interest Ghana had incurred or paid as a result of patronizing the Eurobond market, that was recorded during the period of the NDC. Mr. Speaker, it is important that as we are discussing this reserve accumulation, we understand what this policy stands on. This policy stands on two main pillars. One, gold to be bought by Bank of Ghana in reserve, that is gold for reserves, and then gold to be bought and then changed into dollars, that is gold for reserves. Mr. Speaker, this reminds you of what has happened before. This gold policy, accumulation policy, mutatis mutandis, is the same as the gold for reserve policy that was instigated under the period of the NPP. What has changed? What has changed in actual sense is how this government intends to do that. And I have a fundamental problem with that. Mr. Speaker, we are talking about reserve accumulation and reserve management that falls directly under the purview of the Central Bank of Ghana. But what do we see today? This policy is presented to this House by the Finance Minister. This is clearly a breach, an administrative overreach. We are seeking to capture the mandate of the independence of the central bank, and that is not true, right? Mr. Speaker, if you go through this policy and you read paragraph 43(1), it talks about the fact that there's going to be a central committee that will be chaired by the Minister of Lands and the Minister of Finance. It does not even give the central bank that has the sole mandate for reserve accumulation and reserve management a seat at the top of this committee. This is not right, Mr. Speaker. Again, this report also talks about the fact that the gold shall only be sold by the central bank subject to prior approval of cabinet and parliament. Mr. Speaker, this is not right. This is administrative overreach. The gold that is going to be kept by Ghana as reserve is the direct mandate of the Central Bank of Ghana. I understand and I know there's an attempt by this government to capture the resources of the state, and this government is doing that through this policy. We should not allow, Mr. Speaker, for the executive arm of government to dictate the part of our reserve accumulation and decide when and how our reserves must be sold for forests in this country. That is perfectly not right. Mr. Speaker, it is also important that as we talk about this whole document from page 1 to the end, when you go to the content, it allocates costs and benefits to be treated under page 19 and 20. Mr. Speaker, I have gone through this document. There is not a single mention of how much this is going to cost the people of Ghana. We need to know. And Mr. Speaker, come to think of it, who is talking about reserve accumulation? There is a tree orthography that to wait. If the naked man promises you a clothes, you need to listen to the name of that. This government, this very government, came to meet reserves of over $9 billion. They came to meet gold accumulation reserve of over 32 tons. They sold 18 tons plus $10 billion of gold through gold board. That adds up to $12 to $13 billion. Mr. Speaker, out of this $10 to $13 billion, only $4 billion is realized in our reserves. Only $4 billion is added to our reserves. Where is the gold? Where is the forest? Where is the reserves? So today, if you come back to tell us that we should give you mandate to buy gold for reserves, what is the trust? Where is the credibility? The ones you can.
Yes, leadership.
Mr. Speaker, we will yield to Senior Honorable Kobe.
Yes, Honorable Kobe, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I believe that this program, rightly as said, is an MPP program that the NDC is trying to capture and claim and also hide their own inefficiencies in this program. Mr. Speaker, first and foremost, we all know what has gone on with this program under the NDC, with the large losses of over $240 million to the state. Mr. Speaker, one key area that I want to dwell on is the issue of the sourcing program. First and foremost, we are told about bonuses and discounts. And the question I want to ask on this program is, why is government paying discounts and bonuses? First and foremost, if anybody is buying gold from any market, all you do is that the person paying money because he's buying large quantities is given a discount, more as a profit. And when he sells the gold outside, he also makes profit. So why, in this case, government of Ghana, under the gold board, is paying discount to somebody who is actually selling the gold to him? Clearly, Mr. Speaker, this is criminal. And I believe that they want to use this policy to authorize that criminality and that illegality. Mr. Speaker, it is very fundamental that if this is a public policy, this is going to be a cost to the state. And it is one of the reasons why we lost $214 million. So, Mr. Speaker, if this is a policy, that part should be struck out of this business. Mr. Speaker, the Bank of Ghana and the government is clearly a monopoly. They set the prices. And if they are setting the prices, under what circumstances are they setting prices to make losses and go and pay another bonus? Clearly, this is criminal, and we need to look at it and take it and strike it out of this policy. Mr. Speaker, going forward, we are also being told that there's going to be a traceability mechanism. So far in the last 1 year, they've not done any traceability, clearly showing their incompetence and inefficiency in managing this program. Mr. Speaker, as we speak, the target is to buy a minimum of 20 billion worth of gold every year. Where is the money coming from? Is the governor going to print money to pay for it, or Ghanaians are going to be taxed to pay for it? Because the first budget that was read by Honorable Atuforsen, he made mention was going to make available in excess over 200 million to the gold board to be buying the gold, which meant that that was going to come from our taxes. So far, it has not been indicated anywhere here where those monies are going to be coming from. So I believe that, Mr. Speaker, if the NDC has a major agenda to accumulate gold, nobody stop them, because the fundamentals of that gold purchase program had already been laid for both for forex and also for reserves. So, Mr. Speaker, if the NDC want to be accumulating gold, what is their track record? Last year, we did 4 months of import cover for reserves. They've only added 1.6. So if you are looking at their record for the next 3 years, we are only looking at 10 months of import cover and not the 15. So I believe that they've only brought these documents to us so that they can be seen to be doing something, and they can hide under it and be paying these bonuses and the discount to themselves and go and share. This clearly, if you are not careful, is going to lead to create loot and share. And we have to be very careful with the policy we are implementing. We need to take that part out of this policy. We need to take that part out, because the market, when it works so well, and it has been working so well, and we cannot allow officialdom to be added to this document to protect that criminality that we suspect is going to come from this paper. So, Mr. Speaker, as for policy, we know that the governor of Bank of Ghana has the right in determining monetary policy. We also know that the Bank of Ghana has a developmental responsibility as well. They've been doing it already. So there's nothing new under the sun that this policy is bringing, apart from giving us some fantasy for us to quickly get hooked onto it, and they will use their discount and their artificial bonuses to create loot and share. Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, Majority Leadership. Yes, Majority Leader. Very well. Honorable Lampim Nyako.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for this opportunity and to thank honorable members for their contribution in support of this wonderful policy. I have listened to them, and clearly one theme runs through their contributions. They all support this policy. That is the most important thing. As to trying to take credit about the genesis of this policy and all that, I wouldn't have wanted to dwell on that. But Mr. Speaker, you see, since Ghana became Ghana, we have always used gold to support our reserve accumulation. So it has always been the case that Ghana would use gold, would use cocoa to build reserves. So when you say that during your term you use gold to build reserves, nobody has said that never happened. What we are doing today is to introduce a clear policy that will have a coordinated means to build reserves to an unprecedented levels that Ghana has never seen before. That is the difference. And Mr. Speaker, I listened to them. I just want to respond to a few of the things that they said. My friend Gideon Boakon was questioning why the committee that will lead in the preemption of the gold is chaired by the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources and not the governor. Mr. Speaker, this House passed the Minerals and Mining Act, and we passed the Gold Board Act. In fact, Section 7 of the Minerals and Mining Act 2006 says the minister has the right of preemption of all minerals raised. The authority to invoke the preemption right is given to the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. So you cannot bypass him and go and give the power through a policy to any other person apart from the person who has been given that authority by the laws of this land to do so. So that is as simple as that. And he also questioned why we are recommending. Mr. Speaker, he also questioned why we are recommending through this policy that if we decide to liquidate gold that is purchased through this program, it should go through cabinet and come to Parliament. It is to enhance transparency and to allow Ghanaians to have a say in the assets that we are going to accumulate. Are you not happy that we are bringing it to Parliament? So we, those who are calling for better transparency, for people's representatives to actually have a say in how we do this, you are now turning back to question us. And Mr. Speaker, in fact, we don't want to do anything in secrecy. We want to do it feely. And Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, another thing that they mentioned was that it is because we want to do state capture. Everybody in this country knows the regime that wanted to practice state capture in this country. So you cannot describe us as a regime that is interested in state capture. Mr. Speaker, I heard others also mention a name here, that this policy was introduced by Dr. Bawumia. Mr. Speaker, not too long ago, we heard somebody saying he was the driver's mate and that he was not responsible for anything that happened within the 8 years. Today, you are trying to mention the driver's mate's name, that he's becoming the driver. No, don't do that. Don't do that because it will not wash. Mr. Speaker, let me come to the substantive issues. Mr. Speaker, if you look at this policy clearly, it is a gold-led reserve accumulation policy. It is not focusing only on gold. And in fact, if you look at page 18 of the policy, you see that the government will deepen structural reforms that expand foreign exchange inflows while reducing persistent FX outflows. And we have listed a number of things. Enhancement of non-traditional exports. Cocoa sector recovery. Today, cocoa prices have plummeted.
Honorable Deputy Minister, your time is up.
No, leadership. Mine is not 5 minutes. Leadership. Mr. Speaker,
Honorable member, your time is up. Honorable members, at the conclusion of the debate, the question is, as many as are in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say no. Honorable members, absolutely, the ayes have it. The motion is adopted, and accordingly, this House approves Ghana Accelerated National Reserve Accumulation Policy, GANRAP, 2026 to 2028. Honourable members, we have sat beyond 5 hours, fortified by Standing Order 56, Standing Order 56-2. I will proceed to adjourn the House. The House is accordingly adjourned till Friday, 27th February 2026 at, yes.
Mr. Speaker, you know, when we're about to present the business statement, we didn't really have a lot of MPs in the chamber. So we had agreed that when we're about to adjourn, we will draw the attention of members to the attachment to the business statement dealing with SONA, because there are some updates there regarding when members should be in the chamber. And the update is that we should all be in the chamber not later than 8:30 a.m. And that if you don't enter the chamber before 8:30, if the president arrives, you will not be allowed into the chamber. And the president is going to be on schedule. And so that is something that I thought must be communicated to members. And those who are not here, please share with them. I have a screenshot of this I've put on the platform of the majority caucus. I will urge my colleagues opposite. If you can also screenshot the update, it's attached to the business statement. Update on SONA. 8:30. And then, make a copy available to members on the platform so that even those who are far away will make sure they get here. Also, members are urged to go through security screening before, because the president is coming into the chamber and then many other, dignitaries, ambassadors and etc. are coming in, former presidents are coming in. There is a decision that even members will be screened. So members are going to go through the security screening like any other person. So that is going to happen. Screening of members will definitely take place. And then also the parking of vehicles. Where we normally park our vehicles, that's the MP's car park, will not be available. If you all recall, that's when the security agencies rehearse and then finally, troop to the frontage of the chamber block for the guard of honor. So that park will not be available. You're all entreated to park at the space by the member center. The space by the member center. That's where the tent is. So we should all park there. And then also the speaker's lobby. The speaker's lobby is out of coverage area tomorrow. No member of parliament is permitted into the speaker's lobby tomorrow. It's just the speaker's lobby tomorrow. So please, let's not allow members to, members should take note that the speaker's lobby, where the speaker meets and then proceeds into the chamber, that area is out of coverage area for all members of parliament tomorrow. I think those are the main guidelines for tomorrow, and I thought to communicate this before you adjourn the House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Majority Leader, if you say members should be seated by 8:30, then that needs to be communicated to the Marshal Department so that they will actually open the chamber early so that members will actually come and sit. But Mr. Speaker, Majority Leader, by Majority Leader, if you are saying we should do all this preparation and all this arrangement for the state of the nation, we already know the state of the nation, that there is haircut to cocoa farmers, that there is unemployment, that we are suffering in this current, that's the current state of the economy. So the electricity prices are skyrocketing, people cannot buy electricity and all that. So I don't think that
you are completely out of order.
If we are inviting the cocoa
the
farmers
House is accordingly adjourned till Friday, 27 February 2026 at 8:30 in the forenoon.
Invite it. Oh no, it's fine.
Fine.
we have in terms of security, and also all the assurances that is given us, people will see that indeed he came to continue on the legacy of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
As a member of parliament and with the majority caucus, I'm expecting the president to highlight the achievements chalked so far in our 1 year stay in government, and also let Ghanaians know the way forward, the major plans he has for Ghanaians as far as the economy is concerned, our currency, our agri sector, especially our oil, and our going to work up what we expect. I am a member of the Youth and Sports Committee, and so I want the president to touch on our upcoming World Cup qualifying or World Cup in US, Canada, and Mexico. I know he's going to give Ghanaians a touching statement, and as a member of parliament, I'm expecting to see positive come this 2026.
I expect the president on Friday to tell Ghanaians how come we have 8 Ghanaians perishing in Burkina. That obviously is something that is very worrying. We all know the terrorist activities in Burkina, but never in the history of Ghana have we seen this good number of people, perishing in a foreign land, going to do or transact business. Again, we have a very burning issue on the table, which has to do with the issue of cocoa farmers. Never again in the history of this country have we subjected our cocoa farmers to such humiliation and such, for want of a better word, telling them that which has been the backbone of this economy is no more on the front burner. I mean, we've not treated our cocoa farmers fairly. We tell them we give them X amount of cedis per ton, and then we get to power, and then we do otherwise. I believe these things are not good, and they do not augur well for the forward march of our country, because we all know that this country has been sustained by cocoa farmers for ages. And if at this point we are beginning to treat cocoa farmers this way, all in the name of resetting the cocoa industry, I'm sorry, this can never be a reset in the positive direction. And I don't think Ghanaians and cocoa farmers are ready to listen to this. Again, we expect His Excellency the President to tell Ghanaians how much they've been able to use to show up the dollar. We need to know, because from what the experts are telling us, we seem to be pushing more money and not getting the desired result. Because one will believe that if the dollar is down and prices of certain commodities are down, the final consumer, the Ghanaian people, must benefit. But that is not the story. You go to the market and the story is different. And so we have a dollar that is seeing a downward trend, but then you go to market and then prices of goods are going up. Obviously, this is not something that we can be proud of as a country. Yes, if the dollar is down, the final consumer, the Ghanaian, must benefit. We expect the president to come to us and tell us exactly what is it that he is doing in his reset agenda. Again, we expect the president on Friday to tell Ghanaians exactly what they mean by the 24-hour economy. We want the president to tell us exactly what he is doing with teacher licensure exams. The promise was that they were going to cancel it. We are being told that they are going to as it were, take an exam. Well, we want to know what is happening. Again, in the last budget, the Minister for Education made the entire country to know that he was going to employ 60,000 people, 50,000 being teachers and 10,000 being non-teachers. We expect His Excellency the President to let us know where we stand with all these promises. These are things that really are critical to the forward march of our people. I have come to believe that no longer can we take the Ghanaian people for a ride. I believe that on Friday the president will come and tell us all the steps he's taking to fulfill the many promises he gave to Ghanaians before winning power. We will be all ears. We will want to listen to the president. And then when that is said, we will come back and possibly, if the president is able to to give the real state of the Ghanaian economy, hallelujah. But if he's unable to do that, we, the minority, will come and tell Ghanaians the real state of the Ghanaian economy.
My expectations are enormous because I know that even though you were given the mantle for just 1 year now, let me put it in that perspective. However, the way and manner he has managed the country, most especially the economy and the stability that we are all enjoying, I expect that he goes down to tell us where we came from, where we have gotten to, and where we want to get to. I know this is what the president is coming to tell us. In fact, the issues concerning Galamsey, I know he will talk about it because I believe strongly he has put things in place to manage that sector of the economy very well, which is also showing part of our national discourse, as it were. So, for me, I expect the president to touch on all angles of the economy, including even issues that borders international activities.
My expectation for the State of the Nation address by His Excellency, the President John Dramani Mahama, for this Friday, we know what Ghanaians are crying for. Ghanaian farmers are crying, cocoa farmers are crying. Government has reduced the price for the bag of cocoa, and my ordinary farmers in Kumawu are complaining, and they want the government to reinstate the price of the cocoa as was promised them some time back during the election campaign. So that is what Ghanaian farmers are looking for. That is what cocoa farmers are looking for. Then again, the rising cost of living is something that Ghanaians are expecting our president to talk about. We had so many promises during the campaign season, and Ghanaians want to see that reflect in their pockets. People are complaining about the high cost of electricity, about the high cost of water. Utility prices are going up every now and then, and ordinary consumers are complaining. The citizens are complaining. Mr. President, Ghanaians expect you to talk about measures you are putting in to mitigate the sort of hardship people are going through, especially people that are unable to buy these electricity credit, these people that are not able to pay their water bills, and that is what Ghanaians are looking out for in this Friday State of the Nation. Ghanaians are also asking for the high cost. Now we talk about inflation coming down to single digits, and even the last reported inflation rate was around 3.8, but then people are not seeing that reflect in their pockets. People are not seeing that reflect in the prices of goods in the market. You go to the market and the prices keep going up. Meanwhile, inflation keeps coming down. So Ghanaians want to see some real explanation coming from His Excellency. And that is what we are all looking up to this week, this Friday, that the president will speak about. Then again, we are talking about insecurity within various communities. And that is what Ghanaians are expecting that the president will speak about. The security measures we are putting in place to assure our citizens that they are safe and secured wherever they are. Ghanaians are waiting to hear something coming from His Excellency, the President. Ghanaians have high expectation this Friday, and I'm just hoping that the President will be able to speak to the ordinary Ghanaian to understand. Now, access to healthcare is a major thing. Just today, leader on Charles, and Ghanaians are worried. What is the state of our access, the right to health of every Ghanaian citizen? That is something the president should be speaking to. We expect the president to talk about what was left over from the previous administration when it comes to Agenda 111. What measures is the government putting in place to ensure that most of these facilities that the previous government started are completed and Ghanaians are able to benefit from these facilities? That is what Ghanaians are expecting His Excellency to talk about, and not just the ordinary politics of making promises every now and then. We want to see assurance coming from His Excellency as he promised.
We are expecting that the president, again, when he comes, he will indicate to us where he has taken us to. Because in the last year's State of the Nation address, he committed himself and said that yes, even though the challenges are daunting, we will turn them around. And I think this State of the Nation address will tell us how far we have gotten to. Let's take the issue of inflation. As the last year, inflation was around 23%. As we speak now, it's a single digit, around 5-3% thereabout. What is our GDP now, and what did we inherit the other time? So I think the foundation has been laid now, and then he will tell us where we are moving to. There are other initiatives like the Akukom Kitinkiti, the Jumawura, Women's Bank, where we have reached. And I think the achievements are so enormous that I can't actually sit here just within short time and enumerate them. But I'm very sure the achievements in the agri sector, in the city depreciation, and the city appreciation. Our city was just nothing to write home about. But today, the city is very strong against the major currencies, and which is a very big achievement, has brought relief to many Ghanaians. Food prices are low. Even though farmers are complaining, the cost of living is now far, far better than the previous year.
We shall remain standing for the Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, before we proceed, I want to read two communications from His Excellency the President. We have one dated 10 February 2025. It reads, Right Honorable Speaker, nomination of Acting Administrator of District Assembly Common Fund. In accordance with Article 2524 of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, 1992, I submit through you to Parliament for approval the appointment of Mr. Michael Harry Hampson as the Acting Administrator of the District Assembly Common Fund. The nominee's credentials and records of service demonstrate his competences to support the government's agenda and serve the people of Ghana effectively. Attached is a copy of curriculum vitae. I accept, Mr. Speaker, the assurances of my highest consideration. Signed, John Dramani Mahama. The second one is dated 11 February 2025, and it reads, Mr. Speaker, Ministers of State of the Cabinet, in accordance with Article 76(1) of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, 1992, I am submitting herewith for your attention the attached list of names of Ministers of State of the Cabinet. Accept, Mr. Speaker, the assurances of my highest consideration. Signed, John Dramani Mahama. Honorable members, may I now invite the Honorable Majority Leader and the Honorable Minority Leader